Every day is a new beginning, a fresh start to make your mark. But to forge ahead in the future, you need a platform with a pulse. One that's always learning, always adapting, and always on. Trellix. Living security starts here.
This is Roland, the head of the Systems Engineering for Southeast Asia Operations of Trellix. Let me share my slide. Okay. The Metaverse is quickly becoming the next must-have concept with enterprises to improve engagement and user experience for employees, customers, and partners. And while the Metaverse isn't here just yet, this doesn't mean companies can't consider the security challenges it will bring. Key concepts and justifications for the Metaverse are known, but the security and privacy issues this new virtual universe contains remain largely unknown. What I'm trying to walk you through now is addressing cyber readiness with extended detection and response for adaptive defense in addressing our evolution to this new virtual universe that is Metaverse. Now, for our talking points, let me quickly walk you through on the current state of cyber, what is XDR, and how we can develop an adaptive defense model, and then we will wrap up. Now, when we talk about the current state of cyber, we are looking into the cybersecurity supercycle. And I've actually highlighted 4 major drivers here. The very first one is the increasing attack surfaces. As we all know, the enterprise perimeter is dissolving due to the acceleration with cloud transformations and remote work trends. Specifically, when all of us were forced to live a digital way of life, when the pandemic hit the whole world almost 3 years ago. And at just at the same time, threats moving down market. Compliance-only security practices are no longer appropriate as threats are continuously hitting the different sectors of society. And security teams are overwhelmed, wherein we don't have enough people, budgets, nor expertise to operationalize the tools and effectively act on those threats. And as a result of that too, organizations want to simplify. What does it mean? Platform and tools consolidation with fewer vendors is the focus of every organization now. And the teams are looking to improve their security operations. With these considerations in the cybersecurity supercycle, we need to appreciate as well and look into the current cyber threat landscape. And I would simply categorize this into looking into the why and the who. And I categorically put 3 major whys. When we talk about political, economic, and military advantage for national leadership as the main target, and when the other one is financially motivated, and the others are motivated by ideology or purpose. If we were to map clearly the who aspects on each of these whys, we can simply map it easily. But as the threat landscape continuously evolves, the why and the who, as far as the delineation is concerned, is becoming blurred. Blurred in the sense that we now see that the different threat actors are crisscrossing on the different intents or on the whys. Case in point, in the case of the Bangladesh Central Bank heist, for example, still considered the world's largest cyber heist. It may be financially motivated, but it was attributed to a nation-state-sponsored threat actor. Now, at the end of the day, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, why do we care? Well, we really need to care because we need drivers for better defenses. We need to understand that SecOps landscape continues to struggle and that adversaries are erratic and intentionally unpredictable. The traditional linear defense approaches do not offer adequate guidance for this highly active threat landscape, thereby resulting to rising unpredictable attackers. Now you see the decline in security operations profile as well, wherein the result of insufficient defensive knowledge constitutes mainly on this factor, and also ineffective cybersecurity. Cybercrime cost grows 15% per year per Cyber Venture study last year. Now, since we care and we need drivers for better defenses, we need to look into what we can actually make as a course of action in order to address this issue. So let's take a look at the buzzword XDR, Extended Detection and Response. Now, if we were to ask the question, what is XDR and why every security vendors jump into this bandwagon? In the XDR market guide released by Gartner sometime last quarter of last year, XDR mainly defines integration and correlation of multiple telemetries and vectors such as endpoint, network, email, web, third-party solutions, cloud, to accelerate detection, response, and reducing security analyst headaches. X, which stands for extended, goes across several security vectors I mentioned, including other third-party solutions. D, which stands for detection, comes from the ability to detect and correlate threats across multiple vectors that I mentioned earlier the moment they arise. And R, which stands for response, enables your organization to be better prepared to respond effectively to attacks in real time. Now, looking into the other analyst view on the value of XDR, so I have lifted some of the salient points that these analysts have emphasized as far as their interpretation of what XDR is all about. If you look at Gartner, it simply focuses on the reduction of product sprawl, alert fatigue, integration challenges, and operational expenses. Forrester looked into providing security teams with flexibility, scalability, and opportunities for automation. IDC, in turn, focuses on helping reduction of false positives and truncates the time to find a single version of truth. In a nutshell, these are mainly focusing on the common aspects in our operation. And this is your SecOps. The need for us to run an efficient SOC, the empowerment of our SOC, and the simplification of our SOC as far as this three analyst view is concerned. Now, if we were to look into how the XDR architecture had been translated as far as this market guide is concerned, released by Gartner, this mainly constitutes simply as the different layers that are stitched accordingly to seamlessly work on each other, wherein your SecOps, your analysts, the IT ops, or even in the case of a managed security services provider, is being interfaced by a one console in the SecOps operation via an integrated security platform, wherein in the back end, the core engines, the endpoint vector, network, email, cloud, and data serves as the core engine that stitches and connects to this integrated security platform. And in the same time, the labs or threat labs wherein the different cyber threat intelligence capabilities, machine learnings and artificial intelligence, advanced multi-vector analytics, the advanced groups capabilities plus playbooks can readily be played on, and eventually data lake, wherein at the same time it gets stitched into the integration of third-party engine and third-party data store. Bottom line, XDR merges controls, control management, and security operations capability, as how Gartner defines it in its 2021 XDR Market Guide. And what I'm showing you here is how Gartner looks into the architecture, which composed of the front end, the back end, and of course the integration with other applications. What I'm going to show you here is how our organization, the solution provider Trellix, covers these different aspects of this architecture. If you look at it, this is where Trellix covers, our sister company covers, some of the third-party applications, and eventually this front end and back end, which constitute the architecture of XDR, enables you to have the ability to have the best XDR portfolio coverage, and with the best of breed products covering all the vector that needs to be covered as far as the complete attack lifecycle is concerned. Of course, with the vast XDR use cases that will be born out of the solutions that we provided, we literally provide you an open and extensible XDR platform that you can be able to look and come up with our main target of a living, learning XDR ecosystem with the main capability of detecting advanced attacks across vectors, and then moving from attack detection to threat prevention and embed the next generation security into your operations. Now, a lot of people are asking, is XDR a product? What constitutes this XDR? And thanks to Gartner, who first released their XDR market guide, we can simply define XDR as a framework, a construct, wherein when you take this evolution, it is a journey. And when I talk about the journey, this is something that we need to seriously take a look into, that everyone's XDR journey is different. But the good thing is that you probably already have a lot of these capabilities in your own environment, your existing security investments, whether it is from us or from other vendors. Bottom line here is you can make your own journey. The goal is to go on the journey and grow your security operations maturity from a foundational level, moving up to a trusted level. Take note, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. The key thing is to have an XDR architecture that learns with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and native components, but also be an open ecosystem that will grow with your journey. So what does that translate? The ability for you to even make use and even improve whatever existing security investment you have. The direction in the journey is for you to arrive into a hybrid and flexible XDR core capabilities, mainly having these feature sets and capabilities enumerated. So whether you're taking your XDR journey from the workplace perspective, on the cloud perspective, into your data layers or data levels perspective, or even in some organizations with operational technologies perspective, there's an easy way for you to evolve into it. And if we were to compare the different XDR deployment types, it is mainly divided into three. Open XDR, to where it will all be springboarded on an SIEM standpoint. But in that approach, you will need to piece in different components in order to complete what are the required parameters or elements in an XDR as enumerated here. The native XDR, in turn, is something that is more vector focused. There are XDR company claiming, although they can only offer endpoint detection and response as a vector coverage. There will be other solution providers as well that are pitching their XDR story, but they can only provide the network vector, mainly offering network detection and response. But what is needed when you talk about XDR is hybrid and flexible XDR approach, wherein everything can readily be covered regardless of whether it comes from a single vendor or eventually having it stitched together, including your third-party applications and someone else's solution already invested in your organization. So this is something that you can take a look into as far as solutions provider. Now, to recap, XDR is not an SIEM or another EDR nor NDR. It is not even a product. What we're trying to emphasize here is you get out of it what you put into it. Meaning, you use what you have and source what you don't. Ability for you to fine-tune measurements, customize whatever playbooks that you need to undertake, leveraging on case studies, and of course, the response playbooks that can be more than just SOAR, or Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. XDR's aim is a simplification of these 5 salient points: data collection, intelligence matching, triage processes through automation, visualization for faster decisions, and task automations on threat response. Bottom line, XDR is not a product. XDR is a framework, an architecture or construct that will be used as a journey in moving into covering the entire attack lifecycle in your cybersecurity posture. Now, the next thing that I'm going to discuss with you is how this XDR construct be able to be leveraged in order for us to move into this, what do we call an adaptive defense model. This next evolution of defensive frameworks to boost resiliency. The adaptive defense model is mainly a new innovative defense framework that empowers your security operations by increasing security or situational awareness with richer context to improve security readiness and response. And how do we translate it? Adaptive defense model mainly constitutes these 3 pillars: before the attack, during the attack, or after the attack. Before the attack, which mainly covers preparedness. Why is this time important? Because we need to be prepared. Knowing you are at risk for a threat, knowing the threat capabilities, and knowing your defensive capabilities allows you to assess your level of risk and what you can do to prepare your environment to avert the threat. Key metric is the results to your attack simulation. How well did you do to counter the threat? If the score is not good, you have to walk through the process. And during the attack, mainly focusing in mitigating impact. The need to mitigate impact of the threat on your environment. The need for you to observe the attack, gain better understanding of attack in process, maybe some prompts to further investigate, and assemble playbook to avert the threat's progress based on best practices. Validate the response to the plays. Your metrics, if the result is not good, you walk through with the cycle again to improve. After the attack, this is where the post-attack is a great time to learn on what could have done or gone better. You need to review the impact just the same, find the gaps, consider how the playbook could be improved and adjust. Your metric in this is the improvements you inserted into your playbooks. So if you look at the key feature and benefits, it's pretty straightforward, right? The adaptive defense model should provide you an intuitive guidance so that it will empower your SecOps. That's why solution that has guided investigation helps a lot. Second one is time aware. Comprehensive guidance across all attack phases before, during, and after. This is where increase in productivity can be achieved. And why do we need to be metrics focused? Because the need for us to drive security efficacy. And as we look at the key uses and metrics across the entire attack lifecycle, before the attack, the mission is to be prepared to protect against the threat, right? Of course, a good metric here is no impact when conducting an attack simulation. During the attack, the mission is to mitigate the impact of the attack. Metric here is reducing the threat exposure to critical functions and devices. And after the attack, one wants to learn what could have gone better and improve security. Our metric is noting your improvements and impact. The idea here is, of course, in the adaptive defense model, fortifying countermeasures is always a continued process. The clear guidance for successful prevention and remediation. This is a critical component of the model wherein you come up with countermeasures, not only deriving them, but confirming them with the steps with specific guidance. The main thrust is with XDR as the construct. In coming up with this adaptive defense model, we are evolving you to an advanced SOC or with cyber defense capabilities, wherein we are graduating from the traditional SOC capabilities, which are reactive in nature, too much alert-centric, against moving into a new cyber defense capabilities with proactive or even predictive capability, which is question-centric and using threat intel to provide context. Because our intended outcome in this case would be the efficacy, the visibility, and information sharing. Efficacy in the sense that reduction of this business impact of cybersecurity incidents, gain better visibility into threats on every level, and share and measure critical threat intelligence to other organizations. Because you have the capability to achieve an actionable threat intel and not just a repository of all collected logs. Now, to conclude, our key takeaways is mainly complete visibility on the entire attack lifecycle. And with XDR moving into, or XDR framework used for adaptive defense model, prevention and response can be addressed, and you are presented with the actionable alerts. And looking into the adaptive defense model, the idea here is having focus on the preparedness aspect, the aspect in reduction of exposure as much as possible, and the improvement of security. Because at the end of the day, what we are trying to provide is moving you away from traditional enterprise wherein point solutions, protected network, email, and endpoints is siloed and contained architecture into a modern enterprise wherein the traditional perimeter has been dissolved and requiring a new unified and integrated security approach. So with this, a must in cyber is for us to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And whether we like it or not, transformation is needed in order for us to catch up in this ever-evolving landscape, which leads us to the cybersecurity maturity curve. The ability for us to have the thinking of beginning with the end in mind, looking into this maturity index journey and seeing where we're at in order for us to identify the gaps in our journey and see where are we in this journey and how we can move forward. And this is where we can readily assist you as a solutions provider in this area. Giving you the idea that in cybersecurity, the need to be proactive is a must, and thinking outside the box is a major requirement. And with this, thank you very much for this opportunity for me to walk you through on addressing cyber readiness with extended detection and response for adaptive defense. Thank you and have a good day.